I'm in Vienna, at the very center of Europe. When I flew here on Air China, everyone wore masks for the 10-hour flight. But when we arrived, no locals wore them. So different from China. In fact, there is a law here and in some other EU countries that forbids face coverings. And when I called the local virus hotline, I was told masks are not recommended. I've asked a few people about the virus, and other than not shaking hands, they aren't taking any precautions. So it's a recipe for disaster. And I predict that Europe will be shut down by the end of this month. As of March 11th, 2/3 of the U.S. states are now affected with over 1,000 cases. Washington state has the most cases and almost all the deaths. California has the next most cases. People I know there are very worried. I don't yet see the U.S. fully mobilized to quarantine, isolate, and treat people with the virus. The virus genie is already out of the bottle. In fact, U.S. officials don't even have enough test kits that work, to know who's infected and who isn't. They certainly don't have the capability to build a 1,000-bed hospital in 2 weeks like China has. As in China, many places in the U.S. with dense populations will have to be locked down and isolated. Events and classes will have to migrate online. Restaurants will have to be closed. And the government will also have to assist those businesses on life support, big, medium, and small, lest the economy, both the U.S. and the world's, be severely damaged in the long term. I can't see any serious efforts being made where the U.S. could avoid serious consequences of the coronavirus outbreak, now a pandemic. Efforts are still half-hearted at best. For example, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has imposed a 1-mile containment area around a New York City suburban hot zone where many are infected with the virus. He called it a dramatic action, but it isn't. It's not an exclusion zone and not a quarantine. It's just a ban on places of large gatherings like schools and churches. In any event, people better pray hard from home for relief, as this measure at most will slow the virus but not stop it. It's not only San Francisco and New York, but places like Detroit, Chicago, and Houston. You only have to look at the stock market and energy exchanges to see the financial carnage. And the more we can work together, the sooner the economies can recover. It's disgusting and dispiriting to me that in America and some other countries, Asians and Chinese, most people can't tell the difference, are shunned in employment and socially because of long-standing prejudices brought to the surface by this disease. My Chinese wife was on the subway in Vienna recently. She coughed, and you know what? The entire subway car emptied out. That's prejudice. And Chinese and other restaurants, for example, have seen their economic futures threatened because others won't go there. The U.S. just seems to be more divided than ever. There's also a lot of other discrimination brought out by this virus. T-shirts emblazoned with "Coronavirus, Made in China. Chinese flags defiled with the virus taking the place of the stars. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo repeatedly calling the disease the Wuhan virus. These are all signs of bigotry and hatred. In China, I know it's been popular to say, learn from Lei Feng. Well, now the mantra to the US and other nations is learn from China. No country other than China has had the experience of not only fighting the virus on such a massive scale, but of subduing it. Other countries can learn from China and can benefit by gaining a steeper learning curve and a more successful outcome.